All right. So, have you guessed who your surprise star is going to be tonight? Hmm? Haven't heard it. Who would you be most frightened to meet right now? Please welcome Moises Arias, Bigfoot.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Excited to be here. This is amazing.
So we first worked together back in March as part of New Directors. We did a interview then, and very, very grateful for your participation tonight.
Thank you very
Celebrate this
much.
incredible work. I just want to start off. I've been thinking about the film and the ways that it's impacted me, the ways it's made me think, and the idea of pack mentality and tribalism is so much a part of the conversation now, certainly in this country, but globally as well. And I'm just wondering, like, how you and Alejandro talked about developing your character who becomes a leader of this pack, right? Like he was kind of thrust into it, but what was that? What was that journey like? What was that discussion like of creating Bigfoot?
Yeah, I think Alejandro is one of the writers and the director, and everything was really on the page. That script was absolutely incredible. It had received a lot of recognition simply off of the screenplay, and it reached my hands through Santiago, the producer, through seeing me in this film called The Kings of Summer, where I'm supposed to be Italian American, and I come into the bathroom and I'm Colombian for some reason. I start speaking Spanish, and the producer Santiago was like, "Oh my goodness, he's Colombian." But I think in terms of developing Bigfoot, like I said, everything was sort of structured beautifully already in the screenplay, and it was really those weeks of preparation that were 3 weeks where there was a mock boot camp of consisting of waking up at 4 a.m. to the famous and the um our commander, our sergeant, our trainer coming in and waking us up at that hour to just see who could withstand what it took to actually get to the first day of shooting. Once once the those 25, which there was about 25 kids in that boot camp, became 8, that's when we really started to develop the dynamics between the characters who liked each other, who didn't, and Lowell, our leader, Wolf, leaving us quite rapidly sort of changes the dynamic in the entire organization. Let's call it.
Did you shoot in order, in script order, or
Pretty close because we started in the mountains, um, and we were up there for 2 months.
months?
I believe so. Um, it honestly just all comes together, and it was almost 3 years ago now. So it's difficult to kind of dive back into that routine. Kind of try to block it out. I'm being pretty serious.
We,
Um,
we were talking backstage just about your journey into the jungle. Maybe you could just repeat that for the audience out here. What was the actual like schlep to get there?
Yeah, it's a total schlep. It was, we were in Bogota, the capital of Colombia, and then we took a plane to Medellin, which is that's where my family's from, that's where my mom's from, and it's such a beautiful city. But about an hour and a half outside of it is what they call a light jungle, and you have to stop at a certain point, and then you hike for an hour, and then you stop at a certain point because you reach the river, and we had to raft, the entire crew. It was about 20, 30 of us, with equipment, with everything, obviously waterproof as it could possibly be, and Colombia's national kayak team to get us to this peninsula. It was really beautiful. It was the mixing of clean, beautiful blue water and really dirty, muddy water. And right at that intersection was our camp. So it was it was quite crazy. The crew members that were in the jungle were like illegal gold miners and um, other things. So real deal.
And when we spoke in New York, you spoke about how, in terms of you're a very experienced actor. We'll talk a little bit about that, but a lot of the kids on set, this was their first time acting. So, and talk about becoming both the the scripted leader of the pack, but then also the kind of unscripted, behind the scenes leader of that pack.
Oh, yeah, that what I want to say to that too is also these kids taught me so much. Spanish is my first language, but it's not my dominant language anymore. I didn't go to school. I didn't ever study it on paper. I read it just out of context clues, just connecting the dots on how it sounds. But really getting into the scenes, Alejandro only gave the script to Julian and myself, and then the only scenes that the kids knew were the scenes that we had rehearsed in the hours of acting class that were with the military class. So it was a lot of responding. It was a lot of, these kids are the wittiest kids I've ever met. Colombian culture is just, it's different. It's how I'm speaking right now isn't very proper English. That's how they speak Spanish. And that's sort of what I had to get to know to be able to become this antagonist, this sort of person that tells them what to do, because how are they going to be scared of a person that's kind of just sticking to the script and staying quiet when something beautiful comes their way, So they had never acted in front of a camera, but once we became the family that we became, it was kind of just like responding. It was just Alejandro had a direction he wanted to go, and we had to get to X, but how we got to X was...
I was thinking also the film clearly plays on many metaphorical levels. You can apply it to so many lessons you can learn, take from it on a metaphorical level. But most importantly, it's a hugely visceral experience, right? You feel this movie. And I think I remember you telling a story about what literally was the most dramatic scene for you to film. And maybe you could describe that for the audience here too.
Yeah, I've watched the film a couple times, and still the River Rapids scene gets me very uncomfortable because that was towards the end of the shoot, maybe 3 days, maybe the day before the end of the shooting, wrapped. And they threw Rambo in first, and she said, "Don't let them not give you the necessary precautions to do this scene that they're about to make you do." And the precautions was sticking my thumb up in the air to the kayak team whenever I felt like I was done with that specific sequence. It was incredibly tough because we did it about 3 times, and it was. What was funny is Alejandro even asked us to exaggerate the fear. So it was, yeah. I'm glad that we documented it, and that the cinematographers so incredible to sort of capture the tension that was really there.
I can feel this. It was definitely there. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad he got it in 3 takes. Let's put it that way. So moving on to real you, all the way from exotic Calabasas tonight.
Yes,
so
yes.
you talk a little bit about your career, your trajectory. I mean, I think, especially for this audience, many of whom may be in the industry themselves, to think about the incredible career trajectory that would lead you to a film like this, the film that's caught the global kind of prestige world by storm. You've worked in television a lot. You work in a lot of film as well, but maybe talk, a little bit about that.
I'm from Georgia. I'm from outside of Atlanta. I left Georgia to try acting with my brother when I was about 10. The plan was to stay for 3 months to try it out, and we have been here 15 years. My brother's an incredible actor as well and musician, and I think we just, learned at a young age that, you have to continue working to stay out here. And I have a lot of colleagues. I worked on Disney Channel for a long time. I was on Hannah Montana when I was 11 years old until I was about 16. And yeah, from
Not
there,
scary at all.
some would debate that.
Yeah, I know. I hear you're mean on it, but I never watched it. Anyway.
No. And then from there, you just come to a cross point when you're 16 is if you're going to go to school or if you're going to continue going out on auditions and trying things. And, I guess I've stumbled upon beautiful projects. Like I mentioned earlier, Kings of Summer was the first time I was able to go to Sundance and experience what it was to be in a festival circuit. And that film came out it was like any other indie I had done, incredibly difficult and 23-day shoot. And for some reason it turned out special, and I wanted to know why it turned out special. And I've just been focusing on things that are exciting from the words, and talented people to collaborate with. Directors and cinematographers, I think, are a huge thing to kind of prepare yourself for what the tone will be, what the what other work they've done maybe. And I've also been a part of things that it's first-time director, so it's really just how the person communicates. And I think obviously things that are difficult and different. This was very different than anything I had done before, and I'd always wanted to work in Spanish, and specifically a Colombian film, and it also show a different light on what Colombian sort of stereotypes are. I think that this is, like in Colombia, they really love how this film depicts, and is also so vague in a South American organization.
So, one more question. You've been working. You said this film was almost 3 years ago that you were working on it on the production side, but now you've been on the road with it, talking about it for this whole year, basically.
Right.
I'm wondering what's been the most surprising thing. I mean, it's great to hear that in Colombia it's been embraced, but any surprising interactions, reactions from audiences, things that caught you off guard as you've been presenting this film around the world?
It's beautiful to communicate with people that are affected by a story like this, that maybe have had a difficult situation like this happen in their lives. People spoke a lot about it when we were in cities in Colombia, and it's a little. It's not specific enough to affect people very deeply. I think that that's something that the film sort of communicates. It doesn't have many words, at least that's what Alejandro says. And the fact that you are still in it for the 2 hours and 5 minutes that it, I actually don't know how long it is, but yeah, I think that's been most special, to see how people have responded to it and how they sort of connected with something that's happened in their lives.
Well, it's incredibly special that you came to be with us tonight on this closing night. Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
congratulations on the amazing work.
Thanks.